Hi, this is Penny Haynes bringing you this week's edition of Marketing with Audio and Video, brought to you by the Commercial Creation Center, your one-stop software that allows you to create audio and video and post it up onto the web simply, easily, quickly. It's great for newbies and people who've always wanted to do it but never knew how. So this is a seminar on podcasting to increase your search engine rankings. I did this at the International Podcasting Expo back in 2007, and since we weren't able to have our show this week, this is what I'm uploading instead. It's packed with a lot of great information, so if you'd like to increase your search engine rankings using audio and video, this is a great half-hour show for you.
Now what I want you to do is take a look at the numbers I have on the screen. The average cost to search engine optimize your website to get higher search engine rankings is $1,482 a year. And an SEO consultant, if you're lucky, will sell you an optimization package for an average of $982. You can get the same results for $84 a year. How? By podcasting. It's that simple. I have number one rankings for all of my podcasts, basically. Number one page on Google. Okay? Yeah, by letting Penny do it. I can teach you how to do it. So I have these first page Google rankings for business podcast, comedy podcast, Christian podcast, and variety podcast. And I've never ever advertised. My sites also are on the first page for the most part of Google, and that's meaning the ones that I've referred to on my podcast, those pop up. I've got some great examples also I'll show you that of recently what podcasting does for you when you are consistent and you do it on a continual basis. Can everybody see it says podcasting and the power of syndication at the top of the page? Now notice the word consistent is there. If you're going to podcast once in a blue moon, don't expect to get a heck of a lot out of it in regard to your search engine rankings. However, if you do it on a consistent basis and you use the tricks of the trade of syndication, you use keywords, you use links, and you make sure that you put yourself on podcast directories. A lot of the stuff that Jason Van Orden was talking about, you put this all together, and it's a huge SEO ranking increaser. And weekly is good consistency. That is standard, and as long as I do it on a weekly basis, I retain my rankings. If I slip, 2 weeks in a row, I slipped and podcasted not every 7 days, but every 10 days, I lost 2 pages in Google rankings. I went from page 1 to page 3. Now page 3 is still good, but I worked too hard to stay on page 1, which is another thing, which is I didn't get my podcast done today. So every other week is okay, but you're not going to get the same kind of results for search engine rankings unless you do it every week. It also depends how popular it is. If you do it every other week, but you've got a super popular feed, super popular podcast, you might be able to stay up there. One of my sites I don't do a lot of changing on, but for some reason, probably a combination of good keywords and the fact that a lot of people subscribe to it, is the fact that that one's almost always on the first page, whether I've updated it or not. So it just really depends. What you want to do is, before you start podcasting, find out where you are as far as keywords when you search Google. And then you follow where your search engine ranking goes once you start podcasting. I ended up being way out there on my businesses. Then I started in my podcast referring to my businesses. I used the names of my businesses. I linked back to my businesses. And after doing it for however long, my businesses are at the top. And I'm going to teach you the why behind it. But this is great. I'll also tell you a little story, and I laugh about it, but somebody once said, why don't you call yourself a podcasting expert? And I just never crossed my mind. I mean, I just do what I do. And I thought, well, I'll go look up podcasting expert in Google. And there at the top was Lisa Barnes. Now, the funny thing is that Lisa Barnes didn't even know what podcasting was until I told her and encouraged her to start podcasting. And I thought, this is wrong. So I decided I would go ahead and try an experiment. So I decided I would go through all of my podcasts and change some keywords and put Penny Haynes, podcasting expert, in my podcasts. And within 1 week, I was up there at the top with Lisa. So that's how I know it works.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this excerpt from the Podcasting for Search Engine Ranking seminar and that you've walked away with practical tips, things you can apply to your own podcast so that you can increase your search engine rankings. This is Penny Haynes signing off for Marketing with Audio and Video, brought to you by the Commercial Creation Center. Download the Commercial Creation Center for free today and give it a try. Have a great week.